the sun is like perfectly.
The wind machine hit him.
The sun is perfectly at like 5:30, so he got that glow on him. You know what I'm saying? It's a breeze coming from Santa Monica, from off the water. All of a sudden, like it was literally like it was like somebody was shooting it, and he did it like all in like one motion. Like took the helmet off with the left, put the glasses on with the right, said hi to 3 or 4 people, knew every single person's name, walked in, and was like, hey guys, what's up? And then literally just walked up to each one of us and introduced himself like we didn't know who he was.
Was he like, hey, my name is Tom?
Yeah. Tom, hey, nice to meet you. You're like, yeah,
Yeah, I know. Now, you know, as somebody who, obviously you're in a relationship right now, but somebody on a relationship show in Insecure, you are used to these larger conversations that these shows, you know, bring. And you probably were a part of maybe the largest relationship conversation I've certainly been a part of on Twitter. The ever-evolving, never-ending fight of Team Issa and Team Lawrence.
That's right.
Dude, like, y'all out there breaking up happy homes.
Yes.
Like, it's fucked up, man.
I had a homeboy who called me after the finale of season 1 and was like, yo, me and... I'm not gonna say it now. It's,
you can't start it.
I can't do that because
Okay.
he listens. I know he listens.
All right.
And if she just happens to be in the car, or if she listens,
He ain't gonna be to play that off.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my boy from back home hits me and he's like, "Yo, we just watched the finale. Or we watched the finale and we haven't spoken in 48 hours." They literally got in a fight the night they watched the finale. Now, mind you, they got kids. They got 2 kids, right? They hadn't spoken to each other in the same bed, in the same house in 48 hours, other than you picking up the kid, cool. You packed the lunch, yeah.
Dang.
Literally, for 48 hours.
Look at what y'all have done. But it was
Who
just
knew?
It was interesting why both of those characters, both together and apart, like really resonated with people. Why do you think it struck such a chord to the point where people are having vehement fights? And not just that, you apparently are liberating men everywhere.
Oh yeah, we out here. Lawrence Hive, baby.
Lawrence Hive,
Let's
out
go.
here.
Let's go.
Looking for their bank teller.
Looking, new Democratic nominee. We gonna be at the convention.
People gonna be writing you in like Jay
convention.
Ellis, aka Team Lawrence. But no, why do you think these 2 characters, or this relationship, I should say, resonated with so many people?
I think we've probably all been in some version of this relationship before. We've all been a version of these 2 people before, I think. Either side, right? And I think that when you are younger, you're not able to express, much like Issa and Lawrence, like they weren't able to express the stuff that was really going down between them, right? And I think when you have been there personally, and then all of a sudden you see 2 people who were going through that, and they're not able to say that they're in the same place you were at some point in your life. It just is one of those things you immediately connect to and you draw to, right? Like, I think a lot of younger men, don't feel that they are able to communicate about their fears so freely with their significant others, right? And like that is what Lawrence was going through. And then when you see that dude going through that exact same thing, you connect with him because you go, oh, I know what he's afraid of and what she might say to that. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things I think that really just taps into like your heart in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you read where the storyline was going that first season, what did you think the reaction would be from the audience?
I remember Prentice, our showrunner, being like, yo, when people see the finale, I'm just telling you, dudes everywhere are going to stand up and like wave flags and march in the streets. And I was like, I don't think that's it, bro. I don't see it. Like, I mean, I see it in some ways, but on the flip side, I was like, I think it's going to be a lot of really angry women out there too. And it ended up being both, right? Like he saw something, he saw something way bigger than what I saw. Like, I think, in his mind, he was like, yo, if it hits in the way we think it's going to hit, like this is going to cause people to have conversation in a way that like a lot of shows don't get out of people. A lot of scripted shows don't get out of people. And so when I read it, I was just like, I don't know, man. I think people are going to hate Lawrence. And then that means they're going to hate me because they can't separate. So now I'm going to be out here getting yelled at in the streets.
Which I heard has happened.
It has happened multiple. I still get it. I still get it. And I'm like, yo, it's been 4 seasons. Like, calm down. They good now. Like, they friends. Like,
exactly.
Like, why y'all still yelling at me?
Coachella. It was beautiful after
why y'all
that.
still yelling? But yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a reaction. You always hope, you know what I mean? Like you kind of just give it away and try not to like put any expectation on it, and then whatever happens, you know?
So you mentioned how people react to you when they see you in real life. Informants, because we do deep research here on Jemele Hill is Unbothered, that a lady actually slapped you.
Yeah, I got slapped at JFK.
Tell me what happened.
Open hand, like, yeah, she was like it was my grandmama or something. Like, it was just, so I was flying abroad. I was flying overseas. Flying from JFK, I go into like, you know, WH Smith News or whatever that is, and I'm going to get, I'm about to be on a boat, and so I'm going to get Dramamine. And so at the little turnstile, there's a woman who's on the back side of it, and I'm about to turn it around, and I don't want to just hit her with the thing when some item spins and she think I'm brushing up on her or something. So I'm like, hey, ma'am, excuse me, I'm about to turn the thing. Do you mind? And she literally turned around, eyes wide. She was like, and just, I mean, she hauled up. She reached back to literally,
like from the ancestors that came down
and brought it all the way around. And she slapped me, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm just so pissed at you, Lawrence. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, for real? And she was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, and you would think I know better because I'm a writer. And I was like, I'm sorry, say what? And she was like, yeah, I write for, she wrote for a blog. And she was like, you think I could do an interview with you at some point? And I was like, you know what? Why don't you hit me when I get back in the country? And
Which is called February.
We'll figure it out.
Right.
I never heard from her. I actually would have did the interview just to call her out for slapping me.
And be like, you gonna slap somebody you don't know.
But that was the craziest experience. I mean, I have been pulled and grabbed and yelled at, whatever. Like, getting, like, that slap hurt. Like, it for real hurt. Like, I ain't been hit like that in a long time.
You really doing your job. I see. Well, is it, you know, I guess the upside is that people are that invested. The downside is that people are that invested. But as somebody who plans to be in this profession for a long time, do you have concerns that you will not get out of the bubble of Lawrence?
No, because I think people forget there was a bubble of blue. Like, people forget my first show had its own bubble.
On the game,
yeah. And so it's funny, like, I remember, like, I couldn't go anywhere without people yelling blue, like, for the longest time. And then that transitioned to Lawrence. And some people, now I'm out, like, if I'm out in certain places, some people be like, you still always gonna be blue to me, Lawrence. And I'm like,
okay. Well, at least they
do you know my real name? No, like, but so I never worry about that. And for me, I also think it's one of those things that, like, it is one of the best scenarios ever, and, like, I think such a massive honor to have people remember your character in that way. Like, having the opportunity to have played a character that people resonate with or are angry with, whatever it is. But the fact that it moved them in some way, like, that's not, you don't get to do that with every job. You know what I mean? So I don't think it'll last because it didn't last with my last job, but I am also grateful if it does in some ways. You know what I mean?
Well, they brought, I mean, because now they're bringing sort of Lawrence and Issa kind of full circle. At least I read this, and you can certainly clear this up, is that they had written Lawrence out. Is that correct? Or, like, Lawrence wasn't supposed to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Issa would ever tell me that, because I'd be like, oh, so you're just going to fire me? That's what you was going to do? But no, I think that, you know, I think that as best as I can speak for the writers, you know, I think when they originally started and what Issa's vision for the show was a very specific story. And I think she's still moving towards what that specific story is. But I think that there are things that happen when you're in a writer's room that, you know, 10 people start to find interesting, and you're like, oh, let's keep exploring that, and let's explore that some more. And what does that look like for a full season, or for 2 seasons, or for 3 episodes, and let's continue to explore that. And so I think that is one of the things that ultimately ended up happening with Issa and Lawrence. I think the split between them is something that I am sure they knew they wanted to do. But where they are now is like bumping into each other at Coachella, and, you know, at the end of season 3, and then him chilling with her at the movies at the end of season 3, directed by Regina King. Shout out Regina. I don't know if that was something that was thought of back in season 1. You know?
Yeah. Do you think they were influenced by frankly, the reaction and the fact that there were a lot of, people. It wasn't just men, but it was a lot of men certainly who related to this character so strongly that maybe they thought perhaps we're making a mistake by kind of fading Lawrence out.
To all the men out there, I'm grateful for y'all. I still got a job for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because of you, I am here. No, I think I don't think our writers room. I think they try to not be influenced by the zeitgeist. I think they try to lock it away because I think, I hear Issa and Prentice talk about this a lot, and then we even think about it. What made season 1 so special is the fact that like we were in a bubble. Nobody knew Insecure. Nobody knew Issa and Lawrence. And because we were in a bubble, they were able to go away and create this story that ultimately resonated with so many people. And so I think that is the same magic that they constantly try to create, is going back in, not listening to what the world is saying, just doing whatever serves the story and these characters the best, and sometimes that leads to stuff that pops off and gets people pissed off and creates memes and breaks the internet. And sometimes, it makes people smile, laugh, and cry.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I think that I actually read this actually happened. Like after the end of season 1, you had a whole bunch of dudes out there showing solidarity by buying Best Buy shirts.
Yeah,
like right.
Yeah.
And Best Buy should have started marketing and selling their shirt. Like it's.
I would have been a Best Buy spokesman. They could call me right now.
You're right.
Good brothers come out of Best
See
Buy.
What I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
See, they missed the opportunity there.
Well, we can circle back and get it though.
Because that money's
we
don't
can
be
circle
there.
back and get it. Yeah, we can
Absolutely.
always circle back and get it.
So with this, new season and with the way the show has matured, from what you know and from what you can tell us, what are you most looking forward to, seeing how people react to this season?
I guess it's an interesting season because I think Issa, Lawrence, and Molly have all, I don't think they've gone through the toughest thing we've seen them go through yet, but I do think they've all gone through something that has made them adults, right, in a different way. And now having this conversation of like, what can you really have in life? Like, can you have the perfect career and the perfect spouse or the perfect, partner? Or can you only have one or the other? And is that real? Or is that just some dream that somebody told us 60, 70, 80 years ago when America was created? And like, that's just what we've bought into. And I think we get to see them all explore that and really trying to find that balance in their life. And does that mean that, are they dropping one thing to do the other thing, or are they fighting to keep both things as good as possible? And to me, that's like a really interesting thing, because I think we all hit that at some point where you're like, yo, I got this thing popping, but like I can't find nobody to fall in love with, or like, yo, I got the girl or the dude, but like
I'm broke.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think that is such a, and I think it's an interesting thing because like for dudes, like for the longest time, I would always say like, I am not ready. Like I'll date, but like I wouldn't start a life until I felt like I was in a certain place. And I feel like that is so much more of the mentality of men, I think, in a lot of ways. But I think Lawrence, even more specifically in this story, has now kind of found his way a little bit in one space. And like now, what does that mean in the other place, in the other part of his life?
Well, I think that's probably why women have reacted so strongly to that character, because Lawrence certainly reminded me of an ex. I was like, coming home, he on the couch. Yup, I've dated that dude, right? Because women have heard that. Like I've had friends who've gone through that frustration of having a guy who's good in so many areas, right, but he ain't got his shit together. Or a guy that you might want to build with, but he's like, nah, I don't want to build because I ain't got my shit together.
Barnett.
You know what? There it is. It all comes full circle.
Sorry, Barnett. I didn't mean to call you out like that, bro. If you see me in the streets, don't try to fight me.
Like he found the girl, but she definitely ain't got her shit together. Except for it's much easier, obviously, for women in that situation. We could like totally not have our shit together. Like a guy that's successful, he'll pick a chick up that's working the fry machine. That shit don't work in reverse. It don't work the same for us. Like we'll be like, y'all, because how y'all like, baby, flip them fries, put that extra salt on it. If you come to us in a uniform with your name on the shirt, it's gonna be an issue.
See, that's the problem. That's why Lawrence has resonated, because Lawrence was that dude.
He was
that dude.
But in a way, to me, what was always the downfall was the lack of attentiveness at the important moments. Yes. But again, I found reasons to hate both characters. So it was great. So I was like, Lawrence, I didn't blame Lawrence for the Best Buy thing. I know a lot of women everywhere. Sorry, ladies, I'm selling y'all out, but
I think it's a lot of women who actually feel that way also, but will never
admit it.
The
bank teller was like a given. That was a given. It's like, come on. What do you expect, ladies? What do you expect? So there was that part of it, but I was more or less criticizing him for the way that he was not, even while going through his own shit, he could not be there for her. And then the mature response is never like, we can't communicate, so I'm just gonna fuck somebody else. Right. Like, that's not right. So again, is what I thought was the beauty of that interaction, is that there was fault on both sides. Yeah. Like, the reasonable people, not the people who slap you in airports, should understand this part of it. For you, you've had an interesting road into acting. Mm-hmm. I always find in talking to actors that you all appreciate the process, the early beginnings. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, you appreciate it more when you have like a steady job and like, you have gigs coming in all the time and you're working steadily. But for you, how often or how much do you think about those days where you sold shoes?
I think about so much of my old, where I was to where I am. Like, I first moved to LA. I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, 3 people. Somebody would be on the couch every once in a while. It was literally registration or rent. It was lunch or gas. Like, it was always an or conversation. Like, that's just what my first 3-4 years in LA were like, 5 years maybe even, were like. And I think about that so much because I think about like all the people I met along the way, but like all the moments where like my car got booted and I had to go to work, but I lived like 5 miles away from the Beverly Center, where I was the Al Bundy of the Beverly Center selling women's shoes. Like, so how was I going to get to work? And there was no bus line immediately by my house. You know what I mean? Like, just thinking about all those moments, and like, they give you something. The struggle is obviously not necessarily fun, but it is worth it, I think, in the long run, because it just gives you like a perspective and a work ethic, and you're able to just look at things and be like, yo, I can survive through anything. Well, that's as Jay-Z said, I can survive in a drought. Like, you know what I mean? Like, through anything.
Well, what did you learn about yourself to be able to overcome some of those very financial obstacles and very just real obstacles, period?
Yeah, I definitely realized that like I will not quit. Because there's, when you're young, you move to LA, you have big dreams, and you get here and you realize that like it takes a little bit longer than what you thought. Like, not every opportunity is just like sitting there waiting for you to get to the city. I think it made me realize like, I need to work harder and smarter because somebody else is doing it. So if I'm not, somebody else is. I think that was one thing. 2, it made me really realize like how to manage my money better. Mm-hmm. Just real talk. Like, whether I had to choose Panda Express or gas, like I realized like I can't keep having this conversation with myself, which means I need to make another choice. I need to do something in my life to put me in a better financial position, whether that's trying to go for an assistant manager job because it's a little bit more money, or a manager job, or getting a part-time job, whatever it is. Like, I need to put myself in a position where I'm not constantly having to think about like, am I going to eat or am I going to walk to work? Like, you shouldn't have to live like that all the time. Like, just little things like that. And then I think discipline for me. Like, we're in a city where like, I was telling my dad this the other day. My cousin plays for the XFL Wildcats, and we were at his football game the other day, and I had this moment where I literally realized like, there are 9 sports teams within 30 miles of each other in Los Angeles. Not to mention you got the Wiltern and the Greek and the Troubadour, and you could go do something every single night in LA and completely be distracted and not be focused on the thing that you came here to do. And like, I just focus for me just became such a big thing where I was like, I can't be out running around in clubs, like drinking off somebody else's bottle. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't keep doing this. Like, I need to focus on buying my own bottle if that's what I want. And like, that was a big gear shift for me.
So do you still find yourself as successful as you've become, and obviously more success to come, suffering from what I like to call broke traumatic stress disorder.
All day.
All day.
All day.
Right.
All day.
Yeah.
I will circle around for meter parking, and I'm like, I can valet. It's $6. I can valet.
It just never leaves you sometimes.
But it just never leaves you, right?
Right.
Like I still pull in the parking lots, and I'm like, $20. Like, nah, bro. Like, I'm gonna park down the street at the Staples Center. I will not park at the Staples Center. I'm like, yo, nah, bro.
I'm impressed you're driving to it, to be honest. Like, because it's such a mess around there, you know.
It's just little things like that where you remember all the times when you did it before, and to park a mile away from the Staples Center then was like, yo, I only parked for $7. Like, it was such a, like, you know what I'm saying?
Such a win.
Yeah, it was such a win. And then you pull up for $20 parking, and you're like, I'm not doing that because I can park for $7. I know I can park for $7 down there. I'm not paying you $20, bro. Come on.
So are you still the person that if you're in the grocery store and it's a pack of wings for $7 and then there's another pack for like $6.98, are you picking up the $6.98?
Always.
Keep it real.
I literally stare at organic. When I go to the grocery store, I literally stare at organic food and not organic food. And I'm like, I mean, it's just celery, right? Like, what could they really do to it? Like, like how much not organic could the celery really be if I go over here?
Like, do I really need to be that healthy?
You know what I'm saying? All the time.
Well, I mean, but I think the downside when you do go through all those struggles, especially financially, is that it's good that you never allow yourself to get comfortable, right? But at the same time, are you able to, in this moment, appreciate what you've accomplished?
Very hard for me. Mm-hmm. It's been very, very hard. It took me probably until, honestly, I would say a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, to really just be able to step back and go like, oh, I maybe haven't done everything that I wanted to do, but I've accomplished a lot. And it really took me a minute to like really wrap my head around like, yo, you could go away for a week. Like, the city's not going to shut down. Like, your phone not going to stop ringing. Like, you could go away. It's okay. And when I first moved here, when I first started acting, I didn't leave LA for 3 years at all. I missed birthdays. I missed friends' games, cousins' games, everything. Like, I didn't go anywhere. Like, Christmas might have been the only time I traveled, and it's because the city was completely shut down because I was always afraid, like, oh, I'm going to miss an audition. They're going to call as soon as I get on the plane, and I got to, like, turn around and come back, or I can't take my trip. And then that's $200 I paid on a plane ticket, and I got a boot on my car, or LA about to boot my car in a few days because I got $600 worth of parking tickets. So I just got into this mindset where like I couldn't leave. Like, it was always work, work, work. And then after working for so long, I looked up and I was like, man, like, when was the last time? Like, I told somebody literally the summer. So for season 3, Lawrence shows up midway through the season. Well, we aired over the summer, and because I didn't go out and promo, because we didn't know if Lawrence was coming back, because I didn't promo those first 4 episodes, that was the first time that I had a real summer off, not working, in 9 years. Like, I had been always either filming or out doing promo for the game, straight into Insecure, for movies, straight into Insecure. And so it was the first time I remember saying like, yo, I haven't had a summer and I don't even know what to do in the summertime. Like, do I just go to a pool? Like, do people still go to the beach? Like, is that what's hot? Like, it was just such a crazy experience. And it made me realize that like, I need to take moments and like celebrate myself and be like, yo, you had a win. Like, buy yourself them J's. It's okay. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You had a win.
You're not going to be in poverty.
You don't have to go to the sale section. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know that sometimes can be even more difficult because, you know, you get put in grind mode and it's hard to get out of it to the point where you are able to say, hey, you know what? I did some things here. Yeah. Like, I'm good. I'm okay. Because that sense of it can all be taken away. Yeah. I don't know if that's just some black shit that we just go through or if like everybody does, but sometimes I work like literally somebody is coming to my house and they take it tomorrow and they repossessing everything. And I'm like, the fuck am I doing? Like, well, why am I doing this stuff?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's such a weird mindset. And I don't know if that's out of like, I think part of it is the hustle. I think part of it is like, you don't want to be complacent, but like, it's such a weird, because you could take a step back, and part of you goes like, man, I should go on that vacation. But then you go, I can't do that because if I do that, then that's a few dollars right there that like somebody gonna try to take from me 2 weeks from now. So you know what? I'm not gonna do that. It's just such a weird thing, like such a weird conversation that constantly like be inside your head, like going back and forth on.
That's why I call it a broke traumatic stress disorder. That's exactly why, because it's like it's some things that never leave you. It's fair to say the game was your quote big break, if you will, or yeah. Okay, fair to say that. So how exactly did you land that role? How'd that come about?
I'd gone through a pilot season. I'd gone through a couple pilot seasons where I had tested for pilots, which is where they bring 3, 4, 5 actors together and they put you in a room. It's super, super awkward. You all know you're there for the same job. You all kind of look alike. You know what I'm saying?
I bet that's an indication. Like, is this how Hollywood sees me?
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
Yeah,
like, and you start to know those people, and they literally become your friends at a certain point because you literally see them so much in auditions. But at first, it's mad awkward, and you're all up there for like this life-changing job, and you got to go in here and like do this audition for a bunch of executives.
Is there anyone you were on an audition with that? I guess we like. Who was your comparative that we know? that you would be on auditions.
Who? But nope.
You're not gonna
go there. Not gonna go there. Not gonna go there. But I will say for Insecure, I'll give you Insecure actually.
Okay.
It was me, Alon, who plays Daniel, and Neil Brown Jr., who plays Chad.
So you guys
So
all
the 3 of us, and we all ended up on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm not gonna give you my game story though, because my game story, people will be hunting me.
Oh wow.
Hunting me.
Damn.
I'll tell you off air because
okay.
it's 3 people. Is one person who's out there, like is a name.
Ooh, all right.
Who was like dancing in the lobby. Who's a music artist, and he was dancing in the lobby at BET, watching the beat. When you walked into the old BET offices, they had like 6 screens up that was showing like. It's something on every, whatever BET Jams was playing and whatever BET had on and whatever, right? And he was literally standing in front of them, like popping and locking, like just dancing. And I will never forget just sitting there like, is this dude really, is this like a mental game? Like, is he trying to is he fucking with me right now? Like, what is this? Why is he dancing in front of me right now? And then he walked over and he was like, hey man, yeah, I like that jacket. This is Gucci. It was $600. And I was like, okay, I don't have $600 in my bank account right now, but that's nice that you got a Gucci jacket on that you auditioning in while you dancing in the lobby in front of all these people.
It was getting into character, I guess.
It was a football player.
I don't know how that related to the role you played,
but
it
was crazy.
Get it how you live,
Oh my God, that was such a weird experience. Such a weird experience.
All right.
Anyway, so I forgot the question.
No, I asked you about how you got the role. You said
I'd gone through this pilot season and had tested for a bunch of stuff, got really close on one pilot. I think the year before I had booked a pilot for Comedy Central that ended up not getting picked up. And then some for ABC Family that ended up not getting picked up. And then fast forward, it's the end of pilot season. So we're like, it's not even pilot season anymore. It's really like May. So we're kind of like at upfront season. And I get this audition. I get an email for an audition for a new character on the game. And at the time, they weren't saying that it was going to be a series regular. They weren't saying what the whole deal was. And I think the writers were still kind of figuring it all out. And I remember getting it and I was like, but the show's been on for so long. It feels like it's probably about to go off. Like, I don't know if I really want to go do it. Like, I love Mara and I love the cast. Like, you know what I mean? But like, does it make sense for me to go do that? And then my reps called and they were like, yo, you should go on this. Like, we think it's going to be a big deal. You should go on it. And I was like, all right. So I go, have a great audition. The cast, fall in love with the casting director who's super cool. She's like, I'm sending you to producers. Cool. Fast forward, it is 8 auditions later. I had to audition 8 times for this job. So I literally auditioned against every black man in this town. This is why I say, like, you get to know people because you see them over and over and over again. And then at one point I was like, yo, why do they even keep calling me in here? Like, it's either me or it's like somebody else. Like, why you like 8 times is a lot to audition for something. And finally they called and they wanted to test me. And it was me and 3 other dudes, all in the lobby of BET.
At least the pool's getting smaller.
Yeah, it's getting smaller and smaller.
Okay.
It probably started out, I mean, who knows how many people it started. 8 auditions. I'm guessing they probably saw 500, 600, 700 dudes. Maybe. So it gets smaller and smaller. Now there's 4 of us testing for this thing, all in the lobby of BET. One's popping and locking. One is on the phone with his lawyer. They couldn't get the deal closed, so he leaves. The other one inappropriately asked another actor something about their past life. their personal life rather. That became a whole debacle. Literally, this is all playing out, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna book this. I'm gonna book this. He's so busy dancing, he gonna be tired. His joints gonna be tired when he go in there.
He gonna even be in shape for it.
This dude unlocked himself out because he over here asking about personal life stuff. Like now the actor don't want to work with him. I'm like, this is perfect. Like I got this. And so anyway, I walked in, I did the audition, and it was for Mara and a couple of the executives, and walked out. And they still didn't give me the job. They have a week to tell you after you test if you get the job or not. And I got a phone call, and they were like, "Hey, do you have any shirtless pictures of yourself?" And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, they want to see you shirtless." And just so happened, I hadn't eaten because I was broke. So I was
like, what, a brother had been working out?
So I was in really good I was lean. I was lean.
Because they wanted to know if you could sell the part of being.
All I had was protein shakes because I literally was just eating protein shakes all the time. So I was just lean.
No brokenness, it was very
my favorite.
convenient.
The universe was conspiring to give me what I wanted. And so I sent over this picture. I took a picture in my bathroom like of me in some shorts, shirtless, sent it over, and they still auditioned another actor. Who went on to be on a very big show. And then he ultimately ended up not getting it, and I got it. And that's it. That's anticlimactic.
Wow, that was like some Game of Thrones shit, dude. Like
exactly.
they're sending you through different labyrinths to figure out if it were you. Now, as an actor, how do you handle that audition process? Like, do you still have to audition? No? I
don't audition nearly as much. No.
But how did you handle that process of when you have to regularly go out on auditions and you're hearing these rejections or this feedback all the time? How were you able to kind of process all of that?
I wasn't, especially at first. I mean, because no one tells you if you are fortunate enough to be able to audition at that level and that often, that much. That is that many no's that you're going to hear, right? And so no one ever tells you that you're going to hear 42 no's before you get a maybe. And then you're going to hear another 20 no's before you get a yes, right? Like no one ever tells you that. So for me, that was really, really hard to figure out. I was probably some version of what people would call Lawrence in season 2, because that was my way of dealing with it. Trying to find acceptance and love wherever I could find it, because I was constantly getting rejected at work all the time. Again, a big growth period in my life.
It's okay. You can say you had a whole phase. It's good. It's good. It's okay.
A big growth period in my life.
We've all been through them.
But you know, it is really hard. And then at a certain point, what I realized is I was like, oh, my job isn't to hear yes all the time. My job is to walk into an audition, have fun, bring me to the material, and make the casting director fall in love with me and the producers who watch it enough to where they go, he might not be the guy, but he's a guy we like, so we want to give him a job. We want to try him for something next time. And for me, like booking the room rather, like became the thing. Like the more I could get people to be on my side, the more I knew casting directors were going to keep calling me in, because they were like, yo, this dude is great. We absolutely love him. He just has to find the right thing. And so like it literally was just a mind shift at a certain point where I had to like realize that like everything wasn't against me. There was a way in which, like, if I was actually doing my job and doing it right, like, these people would work for me.
So, because you were taking it personal. Yeah. Like, this is a rejection of me, which I imagine.
And now being on the other side, I'm like, oh, that's what I was getting rejected for. Like, you start to realize it has nothing to do with you. Just garbage. Like, right. You know what I mean? Unless you just walk in there and you like reading off the sheet and you don't even make eye contact, and you know what I mean? Like, unless you're just like actually a bad auditioner, it usually has nothing to do with you at all whatsoever.
Yeah, it's usually something super subjective. I had a actress tell me once that there was a lot of roles she didn't realize, again, things that have nothing to do with you, that there were roles she went out for, and they'd be like, oh, you're great, but you just seem too pretty for this role. Like, just stupid shit like that. You hear all the time. You're like, that really ain't got shit to do with me.
Your complexion is almost the same as his, so... And you're like, wait, what? Like you literally hear stuff like that, right? Yeah. Like, they don't want too many brunettes on a cast, or too many, dark-skinned dudes on a cast, or whatever it is, because it looks like someone else potentially, and you want to try to make a varied cast. And so there's so many things that are like, you literally would have to change your physical makeup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that's not even in your control. The only thing you can truly control is how well you go in prepared with the material and making the people in the room fall in love with you, period. And like, that's it.
So who fell in love with you for you to be in the new Top Gun?
I got really, really lucky. There's this amazing casting director here. She's one of the greats. Her name is Denise Chaman. She called me in for it, and I went straight to the director. His name is Joseph Kaczynski, who's a G. This dude's mind is brilliant. He's a former architect who became a director. So, like, already you can see, like, his mind is just working on such a big, like, playground. And directed Oblivion with Tom. He directed this movie called Only the Brave. He directed Tron. And I walked in, I did my audition. He laughed and he was like, let's do it one more time. And he gave me a note and we did it. And he was like, yeah, that's good. That's great. That's good. And I was like, oh shit, that's one of those like, it's not you. Goods. It felt like it was one of those.
You were like good as in I'm in it, or good as in like, all right.
It's one of those things like, yeah, thanks for coming. Mm-hmm. It was like, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, one of those.
Okay.
And then I walked out and one of my castmates went right after me. And it was the first time we met was in the lobby just before I went in, but he went right after me and I was like, yo, good luck, man. I hope your reading goes better than mine. And I walked out and I was like, I'm tripping. My reading was fine. Like, he laughed. He gave me a note. He didn't have to do that. If he didn't care, he wouldn't have did that. And I think the next day, one of my agents called me and was like, Tom Cruise is going to watch your tape. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, they're sending your tape to Tom. And I was like, I don't even know. Like, Tom Cruise has email? Like, what is that even? Like, he's not email himself? Like, what does that even mean?
It's probably some shit like tomcruise@gmail.com.
Like, I was just like blown away that they were sending this to him to watch. Not because they were sending it to him to watch, but the means of how he was actually going to get it. I was so caught up on, like, does Tom Cruise really have email? Like, that's what I was really tripping off. Like, are they texting it to him or are they sending him a DVD? Like, and so that was on like a Wednesday and he watched the tape. By Monday I had the job. So I'm assuming he watched it over the weekend and I got a phone call that I got the job.
Wow.
My whole team called me and they were like, hey, you sitting down? I was like, I'm actually driving down the 405 right now. Because I was in the middle of remodeling a house. And I was like, I'm driving down the 405 right now to a plumbing store. And they were like, well, you booked Top Gun, so buy the whole store. And I was like, what? Like, I lost it, man. It was crazy. It was insane.
So please tell us that they ain't gonna play you like they did the other brother in the original. Sundown. How you gonna have the one black character, his call signal is Sundown?
No, mine is Payback.
Okay.
And there's a couple of us. There's a dude named.
Ooh, they have more than one.
There's a couple of us. We got some representation
coming
in the movie.
into 2020.
We got some representation in the movie. It's a really. It's. I think that was really important to Tom, to Joe, to Bruckheimer, who's back. You know what I'm saying? Like, producing this thing 35 years later, like, and then to Paramount. And so we have a really diverse cast, which is super dope.
So Tom Cruise about 127. And so, I mean, it's like he out there doing mission. The fact that he does his own stunts is preposterous. Did you see him do anything crazy on set?
Well, not on set, but you definitely, like, you know, the really cool thing about working with Tom is, like, he was very giving. Like, and I don't know that you would have that same experience with someone who's had a 40-year career as being the man, like Tom, right? Like, he was insanely kind with his time, with stories. If you were like, yo, tell me how you booked A Few Good Men. Tell me how you booked Taps, like, whatever it is, right? And, like, he would sit there and talk you through the whole story. And, like, remember it like it was yesterday. Like, that's what's even more crazy is, like, the way he would recall names and the room that he was in and where the office was in LA when he went, you know what I mean? And he would talk you through all those things. And just as a filmmaker, I think he became kind of a mentor to all of us because he was always like, you know, we're using this lens and this is the reason that we're using it. And we're shooting this in this way for this reason. And that was really special. Like, I feel like you don't get that often. But there were no stunts that he had to do.
Because he's an instructor, I believe, in this one.
He comes back to teach a class.
He comes back to teach her. Yeah. I mean, but is there a part of you, and I don't know, I mean, it's not like this is the first time you've been on a set with, you know, obviously famous people, but because of the magnitude of his career, does it do you find yourself having moments, maybe when you guys first started shooting, where you're like, oh shit, I'm on set with Tom Cruise? Yeah.
100%. I still remember the table read that we did was the craziest thing. I remember we were doing the table read at Jerry Bruckheimer's office, and we were all inside already. And through these doors, you see a motorcycle pull up. And
he out there for real. Okay.
Yeah, you see a motorcycle pull up. And the door opens, and like the dude takes the helmet off, and it's like the sun is like perfectly.
The wind machine hit him.
The sun is perfectly at like 5:30, so he got that glow on him. You know what I'm saying? It's a breeze coming from Santa Monica, from off the water. All of a sudden, like it was literally like it was like somebody was shooting it. And he did it like all in like one motion, like took the helmet off with the left, put the glasses on with the right, said hi to 3 or 4 people, knew every single person's name, walked in and was like, hey guys, what's up? And then literally just walked up to each one of us and introduced himself like we didn't know who he was.
Was he like, hey, my name is Tom?
Yeah. Tom, hey, nice to meet you. And you're like,
yeah, I know. I got you.
But it was like, when we actually started filming, you're like, okay, so what is he doing? That's what he's doing. Okay.
You're sort of studying.
Yeah, you're kind of studying. You're like, why is he doing that? What's he thinking about? And then you realize that you're in a scene with him, and you're like, yes, sir. Yes, Maverick. Like, you know what I mean? You realize that you acting too. You completely forget that you are in the scene. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, now it feels different because now it's been over a year that we've had this working relationship. So that feels very, very different. Like he definitely feels like, someone that I would call and text and email for a various amount of reasons.
Because you gotta have an email now, because since that's out.
Now I know it's
now
real.
You know he emails,
but
right?
Yeah, it's there is still some of those moments where you're like, yo, that was Tom Cruise. That was Tom Cruise. That's TC.
See, my corny ass, I'd be tempted to be like, you want answers? I want the truth. Oh, man. I mean, his career it's amazing that he's been able to particularly stay in the action lane for as long as he has. Not that you would have turned the role down, but you have any reservations or reluctance or anxiety about the fact that I know Tom Cruise is in this new version of Top Gun, but it is messing with a movie that a lot of people really love.
No, because I think when you get to know him and you get to talk to him about it, I think this is 35 years, right? He could have made this movie after year 1. Right? He could have made this movie after year 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And he'll tell you, he wanted it to be right. And like he said no for a reason, and he waited for so long for a reason. It was for him is because the story was never right, and he felt like this was the right story. And then when you sit there and you think about that, and you think about his career, and you think about all the things that he's done, and you go, he's made some pretty great damn movies. So for him to say that means that he's not just going to do anything, because you can truly say, oh, he has an amazing body of work, and he said no for so long, right? And then he chose to do this thing and redo Top Gun or do a sequel to Top Gun because the story was truly right, and you believe it. It's just one of those things that you're like, yeah, I believe it because I can literally see the proof. Like you can see all the movies and all the work and all the heart, the blood, sweat, and tears that he's put into every single project. Yeah,
it's funny. I feel like Insecure is about to be, or it already is, not about to be. It's kind of like, well, I wouldn't compare it to Bill Belichick's coaching tree, because like all the coaches don't work out, clearly, right? But maybe like Tony Dungy's, because a lot of his coaches have worked. Mike Tomlin was his defensive coordinator. Like a lot of people have gone to work, and it feels like y'all are that. I feel like Issa got a movie every week. You know what I'm saying? Natasha got her deal. I had her on the podcast as well, and you're popping off doing movies. It feels like the eventual breakup of Insecure is, it's inevitable because it's on TV, right, but really, really inevitable because y'all got a lot of jobs. And I don't know how much longer this is going to be able to go. I mean, and it always felt like a story that had a beginning, middle, end.
Right.
Right. And so I don't know, how far off are we from that dark day when Insecure has to...
I don't know, because those characters don't die, right? I mean, in their world, they go on to live forever, or, until they're 70, 80, 90 years old, whatever. And so I not saying that we're doing this for the next 20 years, obviously, or 30 years. But I do think that, like, there is no one on our show who would not stop and make time for Insecure. Like it is, I think it trickles down from HBO to Issa to Prentice to me, Yvonne, to all of our writers. No one would not make time for this show.
Because you guys have been on for 2 years?
We've been on, we're going to season 4.
Right, but in between season 3 and 4, I'm trying to think of how
about
much.
a year and a half.
A year and a half. Okay, I knew it was
about
close.
A year and a half, yeah. Almost 2 years, yeah. But no one would not make time. Like, it's just one of those things where we get back together and it's like a family reunion. Like, it's literally like, but without the drunk auntie. You know what I'm saying? Or the
you gotta have one.
You know what I'm saying?
But who made the potato
Natasha.
salad?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I love you, Natasha. But no, it's one of those things where like we get together and we truly adore each other and have fun. And production is production. It's always has its highs and lows. But like we never have moments that like I've got friends where like productions have been shut down and there's been blowouts and people won't come out their trailers and the cast hates each other and like people don't support each other, and like we don't have that. We got a bunch of people who truly want to be around each other and want to hang out, and we're sad when we're not with each other, and we want to get to everybody's thing because everybody's popping off doing something, but sometimes it's just hard because of schedules. And so I think, you know, if Issa had it in her mind to do 10 seasons of this show, every single one of us would be 10 toes down.
Yeah, because you know, I'm looking and seeing that Friends is supposedly coming back.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the episode of Friends?
No.
I swear, this is the perennial black question. I do not know I know one black person, and she's also a TV critic, so I feel like that doesn't count. I do not know a single black person that's ever watched Friends. I've never watched it either. Just saying. I feel like it's Avatar. Like Avatar, 50 billion people don't watch this damn movie. I don't know any of them. None. Have you seen Avatar?
I've seen Avatar 1, but I've only seen it like maybe a year and a half ago.
See what I'm saying? It's one of the most financially successful movies of all time that I don't know who these Avatar people are, but I just haven't seen them.
Nah,
that's okay.
All
good.
I'm very happy for all of them, but I never really got into that.
I never really got into it either, but I digress. No, what I was going to say is that, you know, now with the show, it doesn't just feel like just a show that it's become iconic in its own right for this generation. You know, what does that mean to you guys? That commonly in Hollywood, I hear so many people comparing every show to this one. And what does that sense of responsibility feel like?
You know, I think sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes it's heavy. Sometimes it's like a point of pride. You know what I mean? And something to be like honored by. But you never want to mess it up. You know what I mean? Once it becomes that. And also like you try not to like think about it, but just live it. Like just be in whatever moment that you're in, and not try to like manufacture artificial moments. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it is a thing that we will probably. I mean, obviously we'll never forget, and we'll all cry, and we'll all, you know what I'm saying, do everything we can to keep in touch with each other. But I think it's one of those things where like you want to show up every day and do 100% better than what you did the day before, because you realize that representation matters, and that like seeing people who look like you on screen go through something similar to you, and also with our nuances of culture, is such a powerful, powerful thing. And it makes you not want to do anything that's not like that. You know what I mean? And it makes you want to treat the thing that you are doing that's like that with like the utmost respect and deference, because you just don't, you want to keep us proud. You want to keep us represented, and you want to keep us happy and laughing and feeling like we're on screen and we're someone is acknowledging us when we sit and watch it.